Okay, let's get this started then. Hello, everybody. This is the Electric-Eclectic podcast. My name is Sascha, and I am your host. So, this is going to be the first episode. Obviously, you've read the title, I assume, which probably said something about witchcraft. Um, so, hi if you're here. Cool to know that anyone's listening to this. Yeah. So, this is basically going to be me documenting my sort of progress and interests and blabbering as I get back into witchcraft after a bit of an absence. So, a bit about me. Hi, my name is Sascha, he, they pronouns. I have been into witchcraft for about 4 years now. I have been on and off practicing through those 4 years to a total of, I would guess about 3, right? Because in between that, I had a relatively long period of absence due to some health stuff. But yeah, so as I get back into witchcraft properly, I wanted to sort of document my progress and I wanted to sort of chat about things that I find interesting. And that is what this podcast is going to be about. So this is kind of the expectation management. I cannot guarantee any kind of quality, and neither can I guarantee any particular kind of regular upload schedule. I will try to get an episode out as often as possible and as often as I have inspiration, but I can't guarantee shit. This also won't be particularly edited or anything, so you're going to have to live with that too. I hope that's going to be okay. So I am recording this for the third time because I only just now noticed that my last recording attempt had a bunch of clicks in it because my microphone was being weird. So in the hopes that we are not having that issue again, and by looking at the waveform, it looks like we're fine, I hope. Yeah, it looks like we're fine. Um, we're gonna hope. So let's talk about witchcraft, and I think for today's episode we are going to talk about what is witchcraft, how does it work, what are we doing, what is magic, what is witchcraft, what is eclectic witchcraft, what is paganism, what is eclectic paganism, sort of setting what I'm going to be doing today. I do apologise if the audio quality is a bit shit. I've got a decent microphone, but I'm still figuring out how to use Audacity properly. So, my sincere apologies for that. We're gonna hope. we are going to hope, and if anyone has any actual tips, those would be very much appreciated. So yeah. Now, let's get started with what is magic. Very big question, lots of answers. I think everybody has a slightly different one. Here's mine. Obviously, don't quote me on this. Actually, this is the one thing you can quote me on because this is purely my opinion and purely sort of based on my personal observations. So, as I see it, people believe all sorts. Maybe it's some higher being, maybe it's the universe itself as a consciousness, maybe all of it is a dream, maybe whatever, right? As I see it, what is the primary factor is belief. If you believe in magic, right? If you believe in X, Y, and Z because A, B, and C, then it is more likely to actually end up in your life, to actually be a part of your existence, to actually intersect and interact with you, because if people believe in it, it exists to some level or another. And if you then go and believe in it yourself, this existence will intersect with yours, or at least can intersect with yours. So here's the spicy example. Well, I don't think it's that spicy these days, and especially not on YouTube. But if I had said this on TikTok a couple of years ago, somebody would have gotten very mad at me. I personally do not believe in trickster spirits, right? You know, the whole thing about how deity work should never be done by anyone who isn't like thoroughly protected because, ooh, bad trickster spirits are gonna get you. Um, I feel like that's a bit silly. It's not really my thing, right? And because I don't really believe there are entities who would bother doing that, because I do believe there are things that are a lot easier to sort of fake being than deities, and I do think that it's very hard to fake divinity. So I am probably never going to encounter a trickster spirit because I don't believe in it, and entities and energies tend to seek out people who believe in them because that belief keeps them going. I know this is a very like chaos magic type approach because chaos magic is like entirely the idea of, you know, belief shaping reality, and thus if you believe in things in certain ways, you're gonna get influence over that. But like, you know, stuff like that. Um, I am not qualified to talk on to speak on chaos magic. I absolutely need to research that more, but I really, really need to because that is so interesting and it fits very nicely into my worldview. And into my sort of approach to magic, I guess. So there's that. So, with that aside, again, if you believe magic works differently, like if you believe there's a different mechanism behind magic, go ahead. I am very much a live and let live type of person. I would, in fact, find it very interesting to hear your opinion in the comments because I do genuinely love hearing about how like people approach their craft and the theories of what's actually happening. The only thing I would ask for is that you be respectful to other opinions. Um, Otherwise, I'm gonna delete comments because I'm not having that. But yeah, so there's that. And then, what is witchcraft? So, witchcraft is the act of sort of nudging the universe to do what you want it to do. So, if magic is the mechanism, I guess, witchcraft is the tool. So, if, like, magic is, if we assume that magic is, say, a force, then witchcraft is a means of harnessing that force, basically. So witchcraft is the act of using those beliefs and amplifying those beliefs and directing them to achieve a achieve something, right? To get the universe or existence or reality or whatever the fuck, right? To bend and adapt to what you want. Also, I'm sorry if you hear jingling. Bracelets. I do apologize. Did I say that before? I don't know. I'm too lazy to go check. So yeah, that in my opinion is witchcraft. And I do think there are lots of ways of going about it. So there are a lot of traditions. There are as many witchcraft traditions as there are cultures. Especially if it's oppressed cultures, right? So historically, you've seen witchcraft as sort of the last resort of people, and be that women in medieval Europe, especially women without husbands, be that poor people, be that otherwise oppressed people, right? What comes to mind is obviously Black Americans and, you know, hoodoo, etc. Though that's a closed practice, I genuinely don't know a lot about it, and I'm not going to touch it because that has none of my business. Absolutely none of my business. But yeah, so witchcraft is as much, I think, a magical thing as it is a cultural thing. Because again, belief shapes reality, and I do find it really cool that with, you know, the internet and modern witchcraft and all of that, you have so many people exchanging ideas and so many people talking about their beliefs. And it just feels like it's really like fueling that like belief shaping reality thing, you know? It's cool. I'm enjoying this. And I hope that I can at least sort of semi meaningfully contribute to the conversation with this nonsense. And if not, maybe I can be at least some like mild entertainment. But yeah, so that's witchcraft. Let's talk about what is eclectic witchcraft. So eclectic witchcraft is basically what happens when you don't assign yourself to a tradition. So, you know, there are a lot of people who will find a tradition and stick with it, and that tradition could be, say, a religion like Wicca. It could be, say, traditional witchcraft. It could be some sort of folk magic. All of these things. And that is perfectly valid and honestly very cool. Right? Or maybe you're a kitchen witch and you exclusively like, and like maybe not exclusively, but like 90% of your work is in the kitchen after tradition X, Y, and Z. Eclectic witchcraft is picking and choosing. It is the act of not assigning yourself to a particular tradition in favor of just sort of doing it, you know? It's the idea that I am just going to see what works, as long as it's not a closed practice. We don't touch closed practices in this house. Please just don't be disrespectful. Don't be a prick, right? Also, don't be stupid. There are closed practices where it is said that if you aren't initiated and you try to do it, some like entity, deity, whatever, is going to be very mad at you. But like primarily, just don't be a disrespectful prick. That's generally just good life advice. Don't be an ass, right? I mean that's like half of the world religion summarized in a sentence. It's a very good sentence. Don't be an ass. So there's that. So that's eclectic witchcraft. Let's talk about paganism. Let's talk about religion. Ooh, spicy. So witchcraft is not a religion. A person of any religion or none can practice witchcraft. So you can be an atheist witch, you can be a Christian witch, you can be a pagan witch. Pretty much all Wiccans consider themselves witches because that's what Wicca is based on, right? Though you do not have to be Wiccan to be a witch, that's also very noticeable. You do not have to be Wiccan to be a witch. Please get your head around that. I, for one, am very much not Wiccan. I don't vibe with their, like, ideas, and that's fine, right? Like, if you are Wiccan, that's also very cool. So, you know, you do not, witchcraft is not a religion. Witchcraft is a practice. It is a thing you do. It's just how you don't have to be religious to meditate. You don't have to be religious to knit. You don't have to be religious to write a book, right? You don't have to be religious to do a thing, necessarily. There are some things that you need to be religious for to do a thing and have that thing work, but witchcraft isn't one of them. Paganism is a sort of broad catch-all term. It is like the catch-all for a lot of religions that aren't the major world religions. The most common ones are, like, the most common kinds of paganism involve Hellenic deities, involve Roman deities, involve heathen deities, so it's Norse gods, Germanic gods, involve Gaelic, Slavic, whatever, right? Involve deities that aren't of the big world religions, right? And paganism is generally very interesting. So you might, and if you look at different pagans, there is, again, the eclectic, non-eclectic divide. So if you are a non-eclectic pagan, you most likely found yourself a pantheon you like, and maybe you work with some gods more than with others, right? But you are working with a pagan, with a pantheon under a certain set of beliefs, under a religion, basically. There are very strict revivalists, there are very modern approaches, but it's still very much you have chosen a pantheon, you are rolling with that, and that's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not like shaming anyone. I think that's cool. Um, and I think it's really cool to see how differently people approach their spirituality, their religions, their beliefs. Um, so, and then on the other hand, there's people like yours truly. Eclectic paganism is picking and choosing gods. So, for example, I personally work with 4 separate deities, which is a lot. Word of advice to any, like, to anyone who wants to start deity work, not just worship, even just worship is a lot, but to anyone who wants to do actual, like, deity work, be careful with how many deities, because I don't think I could handle 5 at once. Like, I'm juggling 4. I don't think I could do 5. But yeah, no, it's choosing deities. And maybe you're choosing deities out of a pantheon. Maybe you've just chosen one deity. Maybe you're mixing pantheons, and personally, I think that mixing pantheons is perfectly alright. There are people who will get a bit pissy about it. I do it, it works fine. I do think that it's worth asking the deities you already work with. But if they're okay with it, and you're okay with it, then cool, mix. Go ahead. Personally, I did it. I've got, like, the deities that I work with, 3 of them are Greco-Roman, mostly Hellenic, though one of them only really pops up in a thing by Ovid. If you know, you know. I'm gonna make a whole, like, episode on deity work and all that, and talk about, like, my experiences and my deities. There's gonna be an episode on that eventually, but, like, with and then I have number 4, who is a member of the Norse pantheon. It works. It's fine. Like, it is perfectly fine. It works out, at least for me, right? Your mileage may vary, as with literally everything belief based and religion based, right? Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. Outside of that, my personal craft is, again, eclectic. It is eclectically pagan and it is eclectically witchy, right? It's eclectic witchcraft, it's eclectic paganism. I am, again, the whatever works type approach, right? It's picking and choosing what I would like to do. It is whatever works, like I said. As long as it's not closed practice, nothing is safe. And the really interesting thing about that when you're researching stuff is that a lot of different cultures have very similar associations, and sometimes they are vastly different. But yeah, so here's the big piece of advice that I would give anyone who's looking into eclecticism. Do what makes sense to you. Like, seriously, if you are going to be an eclectic witch, especially, this applies a bit less to paganism, but if you're an eclectic witch, do what makes sense. Use the associations that make sense to you, right? Do what you find reasonable. But yeah, aside from that, I'm very much like, I don't know. I've come to the conclusion that I am very much a live and let live type person when it comes to spirituality. Like, I am not forcing anything on you. You are not forcing anything on me. We're chill. We're good. We're all right, right? So anyone in the comments who's going to tell me to repent or whatever, because that apparently does happen with quite a lot of even very small witchcraft channels, from what I've been told and from what I've seen. Go and piss off, bother someone else. I'm not going to give you the time of day. This is the one time I will acknowledge you, to tell you not to waste your time and energy on me. To anyone who is going to tell me that I cannot be a witch because I am transmasculine, generally anyone who is going to comment on my gender can also fuck off. I do not tolerate TERFs. I do not tolerate transphobes. But yeah, I feel like that's a given, right? Don't be a dick, like we've established. Don't be a dick. Oh god, it's been 20 minutes already. Time flies. But yeah, no, witchcraft is for everyone. Witchcraft is highly adaptable and all of that. And I feel like with how times are looking, seeing how witchcraft has always been a means, has pretty much universally been something that has been used to fight against oppression to varying degrees of success, but amongst others, to fight against oppression. I have, like, considering the times, I don't think there's a better time to get into witchcraft. I don't. Like, if you're going to do it right now. I am not currently in America. I have a couple of American friends. Luckily, they have plans. They are set up in case anything does go south. They are safe. I am, however, currently in Germany, and we have elections coming up, and it's looking scarily right-wing. Guess history does repeat itself. But, yeah, no. I do think that witchcraft doesn't hurt to keep an eye on. And to get into it now. If you've been thinking about getting into witchcraft, first of all, what are you doing here? Go to people who actually know their shit better than I do. Second of all, no better time to get into it than now. No, straight up, no better time. Also, the clicking might be back. I can't tell, but the waveform is going weird. I do apologize if it is. I think we're fine. But yeah, no, so I am very much like, I find that witchcraft is a sort of a tool to feel less disempowered and be a means of comfort to an extent, right? It is a means to mitigate fear. And fear, to quote Dune, fear is the mind killer, right? Fear is what very evil people want you to do, because if you're afraid, it's hard to fight back if you're afraid. How did I get on this tangent? I don't know, but still, like, I feel like witchcraft is a relatively good way of keeping that fear down low enough that you feel that you can fight and that you can go on, and that you can take care of yourselves. I think that's also a very radical and big thing. Take care of yourselves. For example, I do my skincare partially devotionally and partially as a very low effort way of doing a little cleansing and protection routine, right? So I'll also do an episode on low energy magic eventually, so that'll be in there. But like, I don't know, I found that witchcraft, and at the moment especially deity work, is really sort of kicking my ass to take care of myself, even if things are looking scary and even if my health is kind of meh. And that's it's been very good to me. And if you're thinking about getting into it, I highly recommend you try. I know I've been talking a lot about belief, but I do believe that if you can fake belief, and even if you just pretend that you're a person who fully believes in this, right? You don't need to go the full like chaos magic gnosis type route. Even though if you want to look into chaos magic, that is, again, very interesting topic. I absolutely need to look into it more. But like, if you can just go spend an evening and you dress up nicely, and you go like, okay, for tonight I am playing the character of someone who fully believes in this. I do think that is a very good way of trying it. And if it then works, and like, the belief is going to come easier, I guess. I don't know. It might be worth a shot if my talk about belief kind of spooked you. Generally, I'm all for just trying it. Fuck around and find out. Go on, go ahead. But yeah, no, so if you've been looking into getting into witchcraft, do it now. Um, at the moment, like, resources are good. We'll do a whole episode on how to do witchy research on the internet, because like everybody will tell you get a book. Yeah, obviously you can get books. Um, I don't know if it's just me, but I personally can't always read. Like, obviously I'm capable of the act of reading, but I can't sit down and just read a book. Like, I get brain fog. That's bad enough that it's like a solid half of the time it's either I can read but not actually take in the information, or I can take in information but then I can't read at the same time. So we're gonna talk about how to sort of do research on the internet, how to check, how to fact check. Also, don't believe everything just because it's in a book. There are some very, 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 very bad books. Um, yes, even on witchcraft. Um, like, a lot of the time, if a book is not recommended by literally anyone at all, there is a reason for that. Either you found a true hidden gem, or it's just bad, or there's a different book that explains it better, in which case you probably want to go for that. Uh, so yeah, so all of that. We are also going to do an episode on divination. Like, we're going to do an episode on divination. We're going to do an episode on, like, protection and grounding and cleansing, sort of the basics. Um, Again, I'm getting back into things and I kind of want to share that with you. So I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope your deities, if you have any, are good to you. And I hope the world isn't crushing you. I hope you have a wonderful time. And I'll hear you in the next episode. Bye.